From hospitals to homes, rail lines to stadiums, Carillion has built them all. But now, the 200-year-old construction juggernaut has been forced to file for liquidation. Carillion has been sunk by debt and liabilities totaling $2 billion, leaving many projects and jobs at risk. For now, Carillion's 20,000 UK employees have been told to continue working.
Can I just ask you your reaction to the liquidation?
At this moment in time, I don't have much to say, to be honest.
The UK government has offered to provide funding to maintain Carillion's public sector services, but it's not a lifeline.
It's regrettable that Carillion has not been able to find suitable financing options with its lenders. But taxpayers cannot be expected to bail out a private sector company. Our primary responsibility, as always, is being able to keep our essential public services running safely.
Carillion manages 50,000 homes for the British Armed Forces. It also maintains 900 schools and runs 50 state prisons. Carillion is the second largest supplier of rail maintenance services in the UK and was building the HS2 high-speed rail line to connect London, Birmingham, Leeds and Manchester. That project will now have to be supervised by other companies in the rail consortium. Other contracts at risk include 2 hospitals in Birmingham and Liverpool and a $1 billion road development project in Scotland. Warning signs the company could be in trouble started to show when it issued a profit warning in July and flagged that debt was rising. The company suspended dividends at the same time, sending its shares tumbling, and it released 2 more profit warnings over the next 5 months. By last Friday, Carillion's stock had plunged 90%, slashing its market capitalization to $85 million from almost $3 billion in 2016. Industry analysts say Carillion's collapse could trigger the downfall of smaller construction companies and subcontractors. And critics are questioning the UK government's ability to spot financial risks when issuing state projects to private contractors. Laila Humairah, TRT World.
Let's get more on this now with Neil Wilson, who joins me from London. He's Senior Market Analyst at ETX Capital. Neil, welcome to the show. Now let's talk about first the direct impact of Carillion's collapse on some of its suppliers, for example. I'm thinking of companies like Speedy Hire. Who else might be in the line of fire to suffer as a result of the collapse?
Well, you're right in saying that there's a whole lot of suppliers. I think there's several thousand subcontractors and the like who are on the hook here. They're uncertain whether or not they're going to get paid. We've heard reports in London of workers being told to go in and get their tools and to leave because there's no work being done today in some sites, I believe. Otherwise, we're looking at some of the big listed construction groups that they're working with in joint ventures. For example, Balfour Beatty. That thinks it's going to take a roughly 35 to 45 million pound hit next year. Galliford Try also estimating it at about £40 million as an financial impact directly on it. And those are the main joint venture partners that seem to be affected at the moment.
Do you see a widespread impact on the British economy? Do you see contagion pushing through into other sectors of the economy?
I don't see that particularly in this case. I think this is really an example of a company that was badly managed, and it's been on the slide for a while now. I think the problem's really, although there are issues around outsourcing in general and these contracts, government contracts that are being bid for on very thin margins, Carillion seems to have been the worst offender on that front. And it's had time, it's had a couple of years to sort this out, and it's not taken any action. It could have raised capital a couple of years ago, and that would have been painful, but it would have helped it survive. And by not addressing the problem soon enough, that's what's really led to this liquidation today.
Neil, do you think this case puts a big question mark over the whole business model of public-private partnerships? I mean, Labour, for example, have been out there today saying that if they're in power, they're going to bring all of these kinds of contracts in-house. In other words, have them dealt with by public companies or public contractors. Is that the way to go?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the way to go. I mean, the outsourcing, these companies they're not raking it in as we see with Carillion. They're sort of portrayed as companies that are, raking it in at the expense of the taxpayer. They're really not. They're making money on very thin margins. I think the government is going to conduct a review into this. It's going to look at the practices, and I think it is minded to maybe rethink the way it approaches it.
Right.
And I think it's under a lot of pressure because it gave Carillion 8 contracts since July, since the first profits warning. So it's under a lot of pressure to act.
Neil, very quick question before we have to go. Do you think this would have happened without Brexit?
Well, no, I think really it's part of a broader. There was a slowdown in the construction market from the crisis, from the financial crisis. I really don't think this is necessarily about Brexit at all. It's slowdown in construction and Carillion's poor management practices that have led to this.
Neil Wilson, ETX Capital, thank you so much.